Okay, welcome to the Amijo Show. Hello, everyone. We're tuning in, and this is the Amijo Show. So I am running a 21-day special COVID-19 season for the alleged 21 days that we're under lockdown, but we don't believe it. So we know we're going to be longer than that. But anyways, I figured I'd speak to all my amazing friends, Andrew Priestley being one of them. There you go. That was a trick question. And I do have an incredible network of friends who are, I think, and I believe, the top of their field. So today it's Andrew Priestley, what I call the top banana of, oh, he's gone black. Are you still there?
Yep.
Hello. Gosh, I hope Zoom doesn't fall down. Hold on a sec, I've lost you. There you go. So top banana coaching, and you were ranked in the top 100 of entrepreneur mentors.
Mentors, yep. Yeah.
And you've written a book or 25.
Have I written 25 books, or have I written a book called 25?
You've written a book or 25. So one of them is your Money Chimp book, which is obviously is that your most recent?
It's not, but it could be. But Money Chimp, there it is. The most recent one. Here we go. Most recent one was Sales Genius.
Okay, brilliant,
right.
Fantastic.
And that was a multiple author book.
Brilliant, because you have a publishing company as well, don't you?
Yeah. But there's the Money Chimp. Yeah.
There's the Money Chimp. Yeah, fantastic. So I know you've been a busy man over the last few weeks, haven't you? You've had lots of people ringing you, all crazy times, all global clients stressing and worrying about what's going on right now. But you still managed to find time for cooking, but we'll come on to that in a bit. So tell us what's been happening for you right now in this crazy world that we're living in right now.
So this is what's happened in the last 7 days, right? When I got back from Australia, because I went to Australia, and when I got back from Australia, I got a real education in what was happening with COVID-19 in all places, Abu Dhabi, right, airport. Because everywhere, I'm in Australia, they're going, COVID, blah, blah, blah. But when I got onto the airplane and then got into Abu Dhabi, everyone's got face masks and got surgical things, and I'm going, really? And then I sort of had a little bit of an epiphany. There was a guy there with his young son, and I recognised, just how much judgment I had around this guy, thinking, what are you doing to your kids, right? But then I realised, no, he's a dad his intention is to look after his child, right? Regardless of how it looks. And then I started seeing more and more people. So when I got back here, I'm following up on the news, and the first thing I did was I got a list of all my clients, and I said, look, I don't know where this is going, but it's big. What I would love to do is book in for 20 minutes just to sort of do a catch up. How is this impacting you? What are you thinking? That sort of stuff. And you're sort of partly right when you introduced it, because there's two camps that I've got. I've got firstly those people who are really worried and concerned, and contrary to a lot of good advice that they've been receiving over a long period of time about, we've come out of a global financial crisis, which seems like years ago now, but for me, it's really fresh in my mind. And I'd spent a lot of time saying to people, it's on the cards that this is going to happen again, because we still haven't got banking reform sorted out, right? So prepare. So I did that. Okay, and a lot of my clients who took that advice, some of my big clients especially, in tangent with their accountants, bent over backwards, and they really prepared solidly. So this thing happens, and so that's the other camp. So there's a camp who didn't prepare, those people who said, it's just business as usual and stuff like that. So they're quite worried. So I'm having a lot of people like that. And then there's another bunch of people which is the majority of them, they're very established. They employ somewhere between maybe 20 and 50 staff. There's a disruption to their service and product, their service provision and all that sort of stuff. Their main concern is when it kicks in, because they've, as you'd expect, they've asked people to go on to part-time, or they've made some people redundant with a view to bringing them back in. But a lot of those people, like in the global financial crisis, I'm going to go look elsewhere, right? So their issue is when capacity kicks back in again, how do they ramp back up that capacity, right? So I've been having a lot of questions around that, and a lot of scenario planning just around that one. And then there's a lot of people who've been quite distressed, and I've been chatting with those people as well. And then there's a third lot who are really having to pivot right now with a lot of their products and services.
There's three really interesting, different, challenging groups, isn't it? Challenges of that group.
Yeah.
And especially the one that stands out for me are the people that are actually planning for the normality, if that's the word, to create that adjustment. That's really interesting. So is that a lot of manufacturing then? Is that what those kind of people, or just general?
Not necessarily. I had a phone call from it's really weird because I'm using LinkedIn quite a lot, and there's a couple of recommendations. You said come up with 5 things, but one of the things that I'm doing is I'm on LinkedIn quite a lot, and one of the things I put out was if you want to chat, right, whether you're a client or not, if you want to have 20 minutes, put out my link. And I get this call from America, without names or anything. It's obviously one of America's largest event management companies, right? Mm-hmm. And they have offices everywhere. And what surprised me was they were really tearing their hair out, because their whole game is geared around putting people in classroom settings for one day a month. And they said, how do we take that online? And right now, nobody wants to spend a day on Zoom watching, they don't want to do that. Right? They want to do 20 minutes, or they want to do 90 minutes, whatever it is. But and in my case, I'm lecturing at Cass London School of Business, the entrepreneurial program there, the entrepreneurial leadership. And Cass are just phenomenal, because they've taken, I've never seen anything so rapid, where they've taken a whole university online in 2 days, which is just phenomenal. Yeah, it is. Wow. Admittedly, they're well resourced to do that. But what got me, it wasn't lost on me that you don't do something like that without somebody driving it, without somebody thinking about that, and without a whole lot of people who go above and beyond to make that happen. And that's exactly what's happened. And it's been phenomenal to see that. So here's a guy in America who runs and owns this massive company, who doesn't know what Cass knows. So Cass have taken all these things and they've suddenly made it all online, and really given great guidelines about how to do that. So yeah, so it's combinations like that. Yeah.
Well, it's fascinating, because so we are going to sort of steer a little bit towards entrepreneurs, but the entrepreneurs that I know that haven't had any experience of Zoom, or they've been fumbling through Skype still. It's like, how do you use Zoom? And actually, I just keep saying to them, just try it. I can show you, I can teach you, but just do it. I mean, it doesn't matter, does it? Look what's happening around us. Who cares if you get it wrong for a bit? I mean, come on.
Yeah, right now, prolific beats perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got to fail faster. Not fail fast, but fail a lot faster now, right? So for people who, I know you and I are chatting, but for people who catch up and watch this later, Zoom, you can get a free account, and it really gives you about 40 minutes where you can have, like WeTransfer and a lot of these software as a service type thing, you can do a sample of it. So I think Zoom give you about 40 to 45 minutes. And so don't make your presentations go over 45 minutes. In fact, play it safe and do a half-hour one, because if it you don't want to be in the middle of the best thing and then it cuts out, right?
Right.
And of course, they're going to encourage you to go on there. Some of the software companies, and I'm just trying to think who it was. just recently where I saw this, where it used to be you could unlimited. Oh, I remember. It was Answer the Public, which is a great website, right? Answer the Public. You used to be able to have unlimited access, trial access to it. Now you have 3 goes on it, and then they say, you've used your 3, sign up. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are pivoting to that model now. A lot of these, you know, they recognise you've got a need, we've got a solution, and we're going to take away the unlimited access thing. So.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough, I suppose, isn't it? So is that would that be one of your tips to get to entrepreneurs right now? Just get really au fait with tech and really kind of just go for it, dive in and just go for it?
So if there's a structure to it, and I'll just sort of hold some stuff up, right? Right now we're having one of those days, right? So. Everybody, I have days like that. I have a day where I go, I'm having one of those days. Exactly. Yeah. Guilty as charged. I put that on the fridge, and if I'm having one of those days, I go and open the fridge, and it's on the door, and I point to it, and and anyone around me says, how's it? I'm having one of those days. I hold the card up so they know what's happening for me, right? Let's you off the hook. So first tip is, this is very unusual. It's actually not novel, but we haven't seen it for a long time. So the last time we had anything very similar to this was probably at this level was probably the Spanish flu, and I think it was about 1918, right? Mm-hmm. I think we had SARS recently, right? And we've had the Depression followed the Spanish flu, and I'm not talking about a depression. And the reason I'm not talking about that is because the conditions that my grandmother experienced when there was the Spanish flu and that, we don't have those today. We've actually got better conditions. We've got instant communication. We've got technology. We've got governments that know exactly what each one's doing. They're talking. They're collaborating. We've got a mate of mine who's the immunologist at Royal Melbourne Hospital rather. Says that the scientific community is just like collaborating like you would not believe. So even though it's quite worrying, I have a lot of hope for where we are this time, because we've got this tremendous thing, and there's a big shift in how we collaborate. So a lot of people are questioning, should we spend money on warfare when really we should spend money on health? You know, that right. They're starting to ask those sort of questions. So first thing I'd say is, if you're having one of those days, it's really good to say, I'm having one of those days. And I would say, be really honest with people and say, look, I'm feeling quite worried and upset about it. That's one of the big tips. Right now, people clinically, we know brain-wise, you've got your reptile brain, your mammal brain, you've got your creative brain, and the reptile brain's the most primal, and it responds to fear situations, and it panic buys and does stuff like that, because it's every man for himself, every person for themselves, whatever. Okay, we're seeing a lot of that. The mammal part of you just wants to get under the duvet, go to sleep, have a whiskey, and get up tomorrow morning and hope it's all gone away. Right, or a port, and hope it's all disappeared, right? But it doesn't respond well to things like watching the news and constantly look at social media and reading newspapers. And so my big tip for you right now is, you know enough about COVID-19. If you want updates, just limit your time and exposure to this. Find a reliable news source, and you say, I'm only just going to get bullet points. Honestly, do you need to know how many people are dying and that? How's that going to help you, right? So just limit that, right? I would restrict your watching of news, and I would restrict your watching of newspapers. Not stupidly so where you're in a, la-la land, but stay current, most certainly. Yeah, but that's certainly a tip.
I give myself 5 minutes of a dip in. And about 3 times a day, that's it. I go on Twitter. On Twitter, and I pick out my sources, and I just zip through the facts and ignore the rest. You can't. It will just overwhelm you. It'll
do your head in, because it's triggering that part of the brain right now. It really will trigger that reptile and that mammal part, and those are right now. We call it clinically. It's called arousal. So right now, the planet's in a state of arousal around. Oh, where's this going? That's a lot of people, right? Particularly if you haven't sort of thought this through, or you've got a long-term plan, right? So you'll be in that. The third option is you create your way out of it. And that's what I'm talking to my clients. Okay, it's not ideal. We're having one of those days. We might be having one of those 21 days. We might be having one of those a little bit longer, perhaps, right?
Yeah. Mm.
But, you know, it's time to go a little bit more grown up about it and say, okay, that's it. How can we work on that, right? The most trending word on the planet right now is this. If you look at Google Trends, that's the number one word that's trending right now. So right now you need to decide. That's where we go, certainty. You know, that's our product. Whatever you're selling, that's what you're going for, certainty. That's what your clients want.
Yeah.
Right? And if you unpack that, you get things like responsibility, you get slow the game down, you know, take time to think this through. You've got the time to think it through, so take the time to think it through. So that's sort of the context. So tip number one would be just recognise you're having one of those days. Be honest. Right. Give you an example of this. One of the meetings I had was with about 3 or 4 managers, and within 2 minutes of getting on the Zoom call, it's like they're attacking one another. Right. So I'm going, hey guys, time out on this, right? You just can't do this, right? So I said, forget about what we were going to talk about. Let's talk about how you're going to talk to each other during this. Because whatever you're saying at the management level, you're going to be doing that to your frontline people. For entrepreneurs, the tip is listen to how you're talking to yourself.
Yeah, the inner dialogue. Yeah.
You've got it. So you know, there's a really good argument right now for mindfulness and for meditation and things like that, and taking time out, going for a walk if you're allowed to walk.
At the moment.
No.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's been interesting on the bit of social media I've seen today is that there's definitely been a bit of a dip now. People are feeling overwhelmed. I mean, I was even thinking, is this a good thing to do today? I think Andrew's watching, so that's great. Hi, Andrea. But I think it's people are just suddenly feeling it. They're really feeling it internally. Not the overwhelm of the situation, but also the kind of overwhelm of the media of doing this, doing that, and what do I need to do now, and what should I be watching? But that's why I'm recording these, because I think actually people can watch them at a later date, because advice is being thrown at us, especially as entrepreneurs, I think, that really don't want to lose our businesses either. But you know, it's a massive onslaught of information right now. Yeah,
and that's where you need to. That's where you need to actually, you know, decide, make some really grown-up decisions, particularly around your kids. Right, it's a really easy thing to plonk them in front of the TV, but you know, like a lot of shows have got these little strips running by, and those kids can read, and you know, like you limit that. But in yourself, it's one of these things. Put your own oxygen mask on and make some clear decisions. And you know, I'm saying to people, make 5 key decisions about how you're going to be in this situation. Right. I love this thing, stay calm. Right, the British thing about stay calm. Right, there's a lot of wisdom in that.
And drink tea.
Yeah, a lot of wisdom in that. I was looking for something to show you. I don't know. Do you want me to give you a couple of tips of what I reckon people should be doing?
Yeah. Keep going. That's what this is all about. Whatever you think. I mean.
Great. Found it. Right. So here's number 1. This is for everybody, right? This is the thing. There's almost like an agreement you've got to have yourself, which is, this is not a Hollywood movie. Okay? The overwhelm is a sense of unreality. Is this really happening? It is. Right? It really is. I went through it. I've been in Australia going, what are they on about? You know, this is crazy. You know, Australians don't get sick, blah, blah, blah. No, they do. You know, good people get sick. Good people do stupid stuff. We saw that this weekend, you know. We're told, stay home. What did people do? It was a lovely sunny day. They're all walking out in masses. And you know, if I said, go drink kerosene, you'd say, I'm an idiot. But we're saying, stay home. It's, you know, it's a protective thing. And this is a time when you say, you know, you think of the good, it's the greater good. You work for the greater good until you've leveled that out. Then you can make individual choices. But the first thing is, you know, self-protection. So here's what I reckon for entrepreneurs. Number 1, Get good information. So the first information is go on your bank accounts, print out all your bank statements, right? That's every single one, your personal ones, your business ones, your credit cards, print them all out, right? Then get a highlighter and identify anything that's a standing order for a week, for a month, for quarterly and annually. It's probably going to be monthly, quarterly, annually. So I'm suggesting to people, go back on your bank statements and go back to where you can actually choose the dates. Go back to November 1st and print out that, because you'll capture about, at least 30 days, and you'll get to see some of the things that are coming out regularly. So that's the first thing, print out the statements. Then go through it line by line and seeing, okay, where am I spending money? What am I spending money on? Convert that to just a simple spreadsheet. So for me, I spend money on life insurance. I've got council taxes. I've got pet insurance. The pet insurance is going, okay?
Oh, your poor woofer.
Yeah, SoundCloud, gone. Now, here's a really interesting thing. Virgin Media, that's who I do my phone with, and Vodafone, right? I contacted both of them. Now, both of those people have been contacted back the government and have been briefed on what's happening. And you know what? There's this old saying, if you don't ask, the answer is no. I rang them up and I said, what sort of help can you assist me? They said, well, have a look at your phone bill and your phone thing. And they came back, 30 quid knocked off right there.
Wow.
Right? So all of your suppliers, they have been briefed by the government to help people out right now, right? So if you don't know what you're asking for, you're not going to be able to make anything like that, right? NI can't negotiate that. However, talk to your accountant, because HMRC are actually talking to your accountants and they're saying, okay, if you've got to do national insurance or you've got personal tax or corporation tax, they're creating tax holidays or they're creating really, really good things, like they'll space your tax out without any penalty, right? So have a look at that. Gas, electricity, same thing. Ring them up. Tell them this is what's happening here. Mortgage, the banks. Now, and to prepare for this, I actually spoke to a couple of accountants and I spoke to a couple of banks. We had the Chancellor said that there's going to be 10K business grants, 25K grants. There's going to be a coronavirus business interruption loans. No one's really sure what the process will be, and I think the government's going to announce that next Monday, right? But there's a couple of banks in there who've said it, and this isn't gospel, but it's what I've picked up. Loans, there probably will be loans available from 25,000 up to 5 million. They'll be available for 1 to 6 years. And this is a really key point to watch out for. There's no interest payable for the first 12 months. Now, a lot of people I spoke to over the last week thought that's an interest-free loan for the next 6 years. It's not. It's an interest-free holiday for the first 12 months, right? Now, the question is that a good idea or not a good idea? Talk to your accountant, because you might have a setup, even if you're a solopreneur or you're in a small SME business, right, 1 to 6 people, 1 to 12 people, where your accountant says, you know what, getting a loan's a really good thing in terms of director's dividends. There's a tax break to it. So it might actually be a good thing to get a loan right now. Or not, but take advice from accountant. I'm not going to give that advice to you. But capital repayment holidays are available for 12 months. Ask about those. Loans are probably going to be limited to about 25% of the business turnover in 2019, your tax return, or double your annual wage bill. But we still don't know the details. That's what they've hinted at anyway, okay? So you can't ask those questions if you don't know what your outgoings are. So for me, once I got all that, I then multiplied that up and I got an annual amount. I divided that by 12 and that gives me my cruising speed for the per month. And back in 2001, I made a decision back then that I'm going to have at least 3 months worth of operating cash flow in my business. And I've been telling that for people for as long as I've been business coaching. Whole cash, but a cash liquidity buffer, right? So the people who did that, my clients who did that, it frees them up to actually think where we're going after this kicks back in again. See, that's where it is. So that's probably the first one. Second thing I'd probably say to you is, so that's, if you like, there's 3 big points I'd make. Take stock. The second one is be helpful right now. Right. Now's not the time to spin. Now's not the time to go into flog mode, sell mode. So try and be helpful.
So much of that.
Yeah, because there's people who are trust me, how you are in these next couple of months with your customers is how you're going to be in their mind for a long time. What do you think from that, from your perspective? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, this to me is like a divorce. It's not a divorce, but it's true colors time. When you divorce someone, you find out what their true colors are, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is true colors time, and you can tell the people that are trying to jump on a bandwagon and going, whoa, right, okay, well, I'm going to do this, and they're screaming about it from the treetops, and and there's no authenticity, there's no sincerity, there's no real congruence either. Just suddenly they've come up with this thing, and it just, and you can smell that it's not quite right.
So the thing you're watching out for is, if it has the hallmark, is this is the thing you need. This is the one thing you need. No, it's not. That gives you a straight up hint. This is not the one. It's not that simple. This is not. It's not.
That was on a post this morning that I saw someone I know quite well posted on, and I thought, I don't feel like you're saying that at all. That's not you talking. It's like someone's told you to do that. But actually, it's just so not true. Everyone has very different needs right now. How can you possibly say,
So if you're in business, firstly, I would say, I said to you, get a list of all your clients and really go through client by client. You've got the time, and say, what do I know about that client? What do their needs like? What might it look like from their perspective, and be helpful? So I've done a week of back-to-back calls with clients at no cost. A client, 20 minutes, right? But help them reset or think it through and give them some strategies, right? And they say, how much? I said, no, don't worry about it, okay? Well, you send me a check for what it's worth later, or buy me a coffee or something like that. But right now, I just want to be helpful, make sure that you're resetting. So the agenda is to be helpful, to be of service, is to think about what products or services have I got that can be tailored to be helpful for people and supportive of people. And what goes with that is to increase your comms, your communication with people, and improve your content. And it might be the guy from the US, I said, your content at the moment is a full day. You might want to collapse that. You might want to repurpose that content. So what you're doing right now, Joe, is like a regular thing on a daily basis for 21 days for half an hour is actually more beneficial, because you've already highlighted that people can't cope. There's an overload to it. Whereas this is just a light touch, and it gives people an opportunity to go, oh, that was good, and I'll get, all you need out of this, folks, is just one little idea that's just going to reset you and make your day, so that you go from having one of those days to having a great day, So we've seen a great example, you shared this with me the other day. Joe Wicks, for example, has got a great business. Tell us about that. What's he doing?
Oh my God! So he's been the body coach on YouTube for years. He's been doing these 20 minutes or variation HIIT training, high intensity impact training, interval training, and he's been doing that for years. And then he's been trying to get into the schools and trying to promote his keep fit and healthy, just with your body weight, no equipment needed. And he's been going around he's meant to be touring the UK at the moment, all put on pause, obviously, like everything. So he's now every morning at 9 a.m. doing a PE class for kids, but parents too. It's hard going. 9 o'clock every morning for half an hour, and he's got a warm up, a cool down, and he's engaging. And I was doing it yesterday with my kids, and he's nearly hit 1 million live tune-in people from around the world. I mean, this guy needs to be an MBE, to get an MBE or something after this. Remarkable, his reach, but his message. But he has spent all that time, those years before, working, and he's done recipe books, and he has worked his socks off in a congruent way. I want to interview him one day, so because I think he's such a great personal brand. But now is his moment. It's like Joe Wick's moment. He's like one of the kind of, I'm calling them the COVID heroes. So he's a COVID hero right now, because he is changing people's lives completely, and families, and remarkable. And you can just do it in your lounge, even if you don't even have a garden. You can do this exercise in your lounge.
So this would be my point. Mechanically, what's happening? You've become an ambassador for Joe Wicks, because you've just given a précis of what he's doing in glowing terms, right? He's being helpful, right? So if you look at mechanically, so anyone listening to this, mechanically what he's doing, that's what you can, everyone here listening to this can do a Joe Wicks. Everyone here's got the ability to do a Joe Wicks. You have the infrastructure to do it. You've got YouTube. He's just using YouTube Live. But he's obviously planned it. He knows what he's doing. So in the same way you're doing an event once a day, that's a plan at a set time. You're doing a Joe Wicks in your way, shape and form, right? So what happens is when people see a value that's relevant to them, it has incredible pass-on value, not from a sales perspective, but it's almost like they become that living legend. You know, you were there when I needed you type status, right? And that has tremendous appeal right now. We want to trust people. So he's a brand that, you know, you're all about brand, and it's a brand that you said, I want to interview the guy. I would say contact him immediately and get him on here ASAP, right? That would be stamped urgent. But the technique is he's increased his communication, and he's revised his content.
Yeah.
He's repurposed his content. It's not like he thought, oh, what am I going to do? He's already doing it. He's just repurposed it.
Yeah.
Right?
And you know, the great, sorry.
No, please.
So the great thing he's also doing, there's no buy-in after. Oh my God, I'm so sick of that. The buy-in after, at the end of the video. Oh, and now you can buy this video and that'll be, jeez, that's so not what people need to hear right now. Just give us some help.
The upsell.
And just give, just be a one-way street, you know, just go, here you go, guys. My expertise, have it with love, you know, and the upsell is not the time for the upsell, in my opinion. I mean, tell me if it's different.
I'll give you an idea here. You know, have you ever given someone a gift? And then after you give them the gift, you then give them the invoice?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
See, a gift is given without strings attached. Right? So that's what he's doing. It's a gift. It's one of the things that anyone watching this, you can say, what is my gift to the world right now? Right? And I promise I'll give you something that is positive for your life. So you've got to think that what he's doing is underpinned by a hallmark, by a principle, which is I want to be really helpful. I want to deliver exceptional value that's going to have long-lasting impact. That's actually a principle that underpins, right, what he's doing, and it's his gift to the world. So what you're talking about, Joe, is being of service and being of help right now. It's a gift. There's no strings attached to it.
Yeah.
Right. And you're right. Right now, it's actually gone off the cheesy scale to the I don't even trust you scale. Right? Because why did you do this to me? You feel betrayed if there's a bump at the end of it. An upsell, because it's very self-serving, right? So if you take the stock, and take stock not only financially, but what are my products and services? Take stock. I mean, I do strategies with people where we go through what have you got to sell, what are the benefits? You know, take stock of that, and then say, okay, how can I repurpose that? How can I start talking about it? The time to dial back, you know, you've got to be proactive right now. It's prolific beats perfect right now. And fail as fast as you possibly can right now. Get stuff out there and see. You're really looking for market signals. So Joe Wicks is getting tremendous traction. Market signals are saying we like this. It's like that cookbook, A Pinch of Nom, right? Which is the most successful cookbook in history, in the British history, right? Because they put something out at a price, a tenner, but it's for workaday people just like you and me who just want to cook nutritious food for their family without strings attached. And there is no bump on the back end of it. And there's a whole lot of free stuff. So look for your gift. The third point I'd say is reset. You've just got to think reset, pivot. And if, like this company I told you about, we do one-day seminars where you've got to be in a classroom. They've got to reset that, readjust. That's not going to cut it. You can't get people into a hotel right now, right? So do you just say goodbye to all your clients? No, take them in a different direction. Be helpful to them. What else could we do with them, right? So Joe Wicks has said, hey, 9 o'clock, 30 minutes, boom. Hey, you want to really get your game on go, come and hang out with me for half an hour, right? Because right now your insights about about what people should be doing are really sharp, right? Incredibly sharp, particularly about, they're going into brand damage and reputation damage right now if they get this wrong. This is why you need to be talking to Joe right now.
Yep.
Okay. I'll tell you something really interesting. I had a chat with someone who's, everyone watching this will know this person because they're a really, really high profile coach, right? And he/she, and it's no gender issues there. I just don't want to say who it is.
No worries.
Said, people aren't buying coaching right now. See, that tells you how you're talking to yourself. See, right there's you. How am I talking to myself? People aren't buying this. No, I'll tell you right now, people are buying. I'll tell you straight away. No shortage of customers coming this way at the moment, right? Yeah. Because if you're an SME, who exactly is your target client? Talk to them. If you're talking to, there's a lot of people who can't afford you, they want something for nothing. They're not your marketplace. So I'm talking to people who I know my market really well. I know my target, and I'm talking to them. I know what their needs are, and I'm talking to those people, and those people are saying, yeah, that's great. When can we start? Yeah. So I had an email just before. It's really tough. Can we start sooner?
Yeah, right. Fantastic.
You get it?
Creative thinking, isn't it? It's like reaching out to your customers and saying, actually, what can we do to keep to look after you, to nurture you? And that's brand building. That is brand building. That's like the fundamentals of creating that audience that love you. You want your clients to love you and value you and everything you do.
And I think what precedes that, Joe, is you've got to value yourself. And I ask people all the time, anyone I work with, are you any good at what you do? Right? And the answer is binary. It's either yes or no. It's not maybe. And right now, maybe is akin to uncertainty. So you've got to be, I'm good at what I do. It's the certainty factor right now. It's, am I any good? Yes, I am. Bingo, right? And that's the message you want to put out with people. Yeah, I can help you on this one. I can make it work for you, right? Yeah. It's really, really
and also for the employed as well, I think, are you any good at what you do? You don't have to be owning a business right now. Actually, if you believe in who you are, what you do, and you know how good you are, then you can really just use that as your positive note. Your thing to hold on to right now is go, do you know what? I know I'm bloody good at what I do. I'm dedicated, I'm skilled, everything else. That's my value. That's what I can do. And whatever comes out of this, whatever that is, and some people will be looking at losing their jobs. But whatever comes out of this, you will go on to do something else. If you hold on to that value, if you start questioning that and concerning you, that you almost like need to reset that kind of self value within the within your own kind of your own remit, literally, and just say, right, okay, no matter what happens, yes, there may be a few bumps in the road. Yes, I need to get all my finances out and look at what they are. Be honest with myself. Actually, I know I'm damn good, and I will hold on to that no matter what happens. And that just gives an energy shift, like a flip round, because instead of holding on, and I know people that are holding on to this, I don't know what's going to happen with my work. I just don't know. Okay, flip it. Right, what do you know? You know how good you are. You know what skills you've got. Reset your personal brand. This is just personal brand stuff, really. So I know I will survive, and I will. Whatever comes out of this will also be even better, and that's another whole broad game of thinking.
Yeah, it is, and you connect value to being helpful. So connect the dots on that, right? I would argue if you're in a professional service right now, right, what else needs to happen, right? What would it take for you to go, you know what, I'm actually good at what I do. Now's the time to talk to me. If I say to my clients, if ever you needed a coach, now's the time, right? Here's a great example. I wish it was mine, and I wish I'd come up with this, but I didn't. But I'll tell the story because it's a good one, right? You're at a dinner party, okay? Just imagine you're at a dinner party, and you look to your left, and Bear Grylls are sitting there, right? And you go, "Hi, who are you? I'm Bear Grylls. Oh yeah, what do you do? Oh, I'm a survival expert. Oh yeah, that's great. Hey, can I get another drink, please? Right? See, right now, if you were looking at Bear Grylls in that context, you go, okay, I don't need a Bear Grylls right now, right? Let's put you in a survival situation. You're out in the woods, and you're stranded. And suddenly, who comes through the woods? Bear Grylls. What are you going to go? Bear! Bear! Grylls, great to see you, mate. Great. Help. Right? See, the value went up. See, the time you need a Bear Grylls is times like that. Right? Now, is it essential services? I'm going to say, and Joe, I know you agree with me this, right? Look after your brand right now. Do whatever you can to get your head in the right place regarding your brand, right? What do you stand for? So I'm talking to people and saying, I mentioned, how are you going to talk to each other? But under sits that is, what are the values that you've got, and really go with that, right? So someone who says, oh, I've got the magic thing that's going to fit, why it's not working now, and I think you said this before, is it's patently obvious what you value and where your focus is. Your focus is on yourself, and it's self-serving.
Yeah.
And we see it for what it is in times like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we can tell when it's not congruent. You know, we've all got big social media audiences, and if we suddenly just flip that message and start going down a different avenue, and it jars off on an angle, people will get that. They'll be thinking, what's that about? It won't resonate, and they won't connect with it anyway.
Yeah. So, so my next tip would be, look at what your products and services are and think about how you could repurpose them. And there's no easy way to do this, but if I was to give you a heads up, you know what would be great, what would be really great, Joe, just for your audience, right, is if we did a flash mob Zoom event, we did a 1 hour event, and we actually showed them, if I went through a little process with them and I showed you, okay, here's how to look at your business specifically in these times, and here's how to unpack a solution and give you a structure to that. If that's of interest, then I'd be more than happy to run that. Yeah. And I had a client the other day who we went through it, and just to give you just a quick heads up on that, my brother, who's a chef, think of it like this: every business is based on principles, whether you're conscious of it or not. Your business is being steered and shaped by principles that you hold dear to yourself, right? All we want to do is make those conscious, right? We want to bring them up to top of mind. This is now the time to do that, right? So as an example of that, my brother, who's a chef, if I said to him, what are the things that you hold dear about your business? He said, well, I thought, again, I'm looking for a piece of paper to show. It doesn't matter. There it is. I had it ready, had it all ready. And so I said to him, what do you hold dear for your business? What are the principles? And a good sentence for everybody is, everything we do, that's how you start the sentence, everything we do. So I said, well, tell me that, Pip. And he says, well, everything we do is fresh. So he's a chef to celebrities. Everything we do is fresh, right? See, it's non-negotiable. Anita Roddick, she had 3 hallmarks, right? Everything we do is not tested on animals. All right? Everything we do is fair trade for the people who supply the ingredients. They get a fair day's pay for their work and their ingredients, right? And the third thing, everything we do is about giving women impeccable advice over the counter. Right? Now, whether she did that or not, those were things. If you read her book, she really talked about those 3 things. Those were the things that fired her business up. Those were things that were just non-negotiables for her. None of our stuff is tested on animals. None of it is, we pay a fair rate, and women get impeccable advice. So I asked my brother, it's fresh. Everything we do is fresh. Everything we do is in season. Everything we do is ethically sourced. Everything we do is sympathetically farmed. Everything we do is fun. Everything we do is impeccable, right? Everything we do is memorable and remarkable. So those were the principles that underpin him. So right now, think about your business in terms of these are 7 principles that I've got. And this is a real hand-on-heart time. What is it you hold so dear? And theory of constraint says limit it to a certain number. In my case, I work with 7 because it gives you so much scope to expand what you're doing. And once you've got that, this is one that you had Vanessa, who is a great interview. Go back and watch the interview with Vanessa from yesterday. So Vanessa was on this, and she said, everything we do is about connection.
Yep.
Everything we do is about inner truth. Everything we do is about love. Everything we do is about fun. Everything we do is simpler. Everything we do is about co-creation. These were things that she holds really dear about her business, right? So that's your starting point. And there's a piece of paper here that if I show people, you'll get too many good ideas, okay? It's just too good. But it's then how do you then unpack that? And that's what I'd love to do, because there's a format that I take people through where we say, okay, here's how to carefully knit one, purl two, and step your way through that. Aren't I terrible with my pieces of paper? I should have prepared a lot better. But it's a way of, here it is, I found it, right? So it's a format, and I'll show you this format that I take you through where you go step by step through one of it. So you put the principle here and then you unpack it that way. And
right.
And you get, here's what's going on, but here's the collateral that comes out of it. So if you're trying to repurpose something, you might miss the beat and repurpose something that's still going to miss the beat, right?
Okay.
But this little activity, logically and in a structured way and calmly, takes you through it. And it's something you can do on your own or you can do with your team. And it'll, as a team, like a lunch and learn or do one a day. If you've got 7 principles, one a day for the next 7 days. And it might take you an hour, it might take you 2, it might take you half an hour. But out of that, I was with a guy who said, my whole business is this. We did this activity in half an hour. He said, got it, bingo, I know where I'm going now. So that direction was in there, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the reset then, getting your principles.
That's the reset.
God,
you're so good.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's cool. That's really good. And that works for anyone right now. That just
Yeah. And you know what? That's time well invested right now. It's better that, if you've got a choice between panic or this, go for this. This is a lot sensibler, right? So is that a word? Sensibler. It's more sensible.
More sensible.
It's sensible. Yeah. It's strategic. And I'll also say this, it neurologically, it shifts you into a frame where you're going out of reactive mode, which is I'm trying to pick my word here. There's a lot of childishness happening at the moment. The reactions are very childish. What we need right now is grown-ups. You need a grown-up response to what's happening, not a childish response. I can't look at this. I don't want to. I'm scared. That's all. That's what a child does, and we've got to be patient with that. Hey, can we talk about kids for a minute?
Sure.
Kids, right now,
recipes as well.
right now, lean into your kids, communicate more with your kids. You've got a great opportunity to really connect with your kids and get them involved with that. Set some boundaries about the time. My grandma, when I used to go and see her, Jay, she used to, when I'd be there, she'd have a penny, when they wore a pinafore, right? She would be out the front and she'd have a bucket and a mop and she'd be mopping down the steps and the rails and all this sort of stuff. And I said, "Nan, what are you doing?" And she says, "Spanish flu was tough, Andrew." And I said, "Why?" She said, that's how it got transmitted. You touch something and that's how it is. So we used to wipe down every day, right? Right now, clean. And if you've got kids who've got messy rooms, tell them you're creating the very environment that's not right for it. So right now, put a priority on cleaning. Right? Clean down your rails, clean your doorknobs, clean keyboards, clean bedrooms up, right? It makes a lot of sense. It's good. It's also, cleanliness is next to godliness right now. If ever that saying had cadre, it's right now, if that's a word.
Yeah. And your shopping. You need to wash your shopping. Your food
yes.
When you're buying produce. 3 days it lasts on food.
Yeah. And if you take stuff off the shelf, someone may have picked it up and put it back. So just wipe stuff down, Yeah. So there's little things like that. So get your kids involved with that. Make them so there's a reality to it, right? This is character building time, right?
Yeah.
Fun things for kids. I've advised this and I get such delightful feedback about it. I love it, right? If you've got a kitchen table, right, get a big sheet and put the sheet over the table, right? And put cushions in there and books and stuff like that. And let your kids know there's a really nice place you can just go and hide out for a little while if you like. And a friend of mine said, my kids, he said, they did this. He said, and they just sat in there. I could hear giggling and laughing and blah, 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 blah. And they hung up a sign, no adults, no parents allowed. And so right now, you know, it's little magical things. Look for little magical touches, right? And look, if you're in a relationship, you know, it doesn't hurt to do that with your squeeze either. You know, like you can sit up there and crawl under there with your squeeze and just put on a little torch and read and chat. You know, it's a good thing to, you know, connect, because it's times like this, you know, we need more hugs, we need more eye contact, we need more, you know, what do you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, you know, I'm blessed to have a garden, but not everyone has a garden right now. I mean, I cannot imagine what that's like. But I think if you're in a flat or you know, you haven't got that much room, by creating spaces within spaces, you can actually just allow people be allowed to almost create mini rooms in a room, which is kind of what you're saying. And I think that's really powerful. And also I think it's powerful to have zones where you can just go by yourself. So like have almost like a chill out place, like again, like cushions, really comfy. And it's like, you know, when mum goes out, you leave her alone, or when, you know, when one of the kids go there, it's like this chill out zone. And you know, because I was walking my dog yesterday, and I had these two couples they're living in a flat up by the park, and I could hear this couple rowing like crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like day 3. And I just think actually there's a lot of people that will start to feel that intenseness, you know, and it's a real test of your relationships, hey. But you know, I think if you just recognize actually we're not designed to be with each other 24/7 at all. So by creating zones where we can like say, right, or one room is like the quiet room where you go by yourself, and put a sign on the door saying you're occupied, just stuff like that. Just, you know, if you have got enough room.
You know, I love what you're saying. I really love what you're saying, because, and if you don't have the rooms, I'll give you 2 tips. If you don't have the rooms, use a sheet. Just put a sheet up over a table and say, this is a safe place. You can go in there and have some free dangle time on your own in there, right? When my kids were small, particularly when they were teenagers, I had a rule, which was I didn't go in their room unless I was invited in there. Right, what they did in there, you've probably got to set some boundaries around that, particularly around cleanliness. But I had a thing, and if they went in there and if they said, "No, Dad," blah 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 blah, and they went in the room and slammed the door, I didn't open the door, because I said that's their space, that's their safe space, right? And so it goes back to that point. How are we going to talk to each other through this? So set some really conscious, say, you know, as a family, this is tough. How are we going to chat with one another? And set some rules and write it on the fridge. And my second tip is, if you haven't got a garden, make a garden. Ask your kids. I want you to create a garden in the house. And I don't mean plants, but you know, cut out trees out of newspaper and paint them, and flowers and rainbows and stuff like that. And put turn a table upside down and say that's our garden, and sticky tape trees to the windows, you know.
Yeah, or even so when the girls were young, I used to make a boat in the house. I used to make a pretend boat, and it was like, yeah, we're going to get in the boat and go sailing. And we used to get in, and then they make up a story about where we'd been, and we pretend we were sailing the ocean, and we go to Africa or whatever. These are great tips. Here's the ex-teacher in you coming out.
Yeah. You know, I don't know how much time we've got left, but
I don't know. I think we'll probably, but yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
Right now I have a thing, and I put a post up on LinkedIn about strong dads, and I should be inclusive and say strong mums as well, but I was writing as a dad to other dads, right? And right now, you know, I'm hoping that the Homer Simpson generation of dad disappears, right? Because right now we need strong dads. What I'm seeing is strong mums, and I know this is something you're quite about, you know. We need a female voice in what's happening right now. And it's absent, right? And a lot of women are holding it together. We got a lot of strong mums, but I need to see some strong dads in the room as well, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely, because, you know, it's tough for everyone. Yeah, well, thank you so much. That's just been amazing. Really, really good. I hope others have enjoyed watching this. I know Andrew was watching live. So that was really cool. And I will post it on LinkedIn. And just to finish off, so you've got a quick recipe for something that you can make at home, because you're making things all the time. Whenever I speak to you,
look,
concocting something different.
Okay, so here's a great thing. I went through my fridge and I found some things, like I had some peppers and I had some chilies and I had some stuff like that. Don't throw it away. Don't throw it away, folks. Roast it, because roasting will take away most of the impurities, right? Then get an onion, oil, mix that together, some garlic, and then put some sugar, because the sugar cures any just a spoonful of sugar. Put a little bit of that in there, and just don't burn it, but just gently saute it, and then add that stuff in. So roast it off. Don't throw away the juice. Keep the juice. Put that in there in a fry pan. Add the juice to it and saute it, and then you can blitz it. And that stuff you can put in the freezer. If you cook a chicken, don't throw the water. Keep the water as stock. You can use that, whatever. Don't throw your vegetables water down the sink. Use that as stock. You've got all this stuff. We're throwing out most of the nutrients people have in food gets thrown away. So, and get your kids involved in that, right? So I went out in the laneway today and I plucked easily a big tub of nettles, stinging nettles. I had the gloves on. And I came back and I made nettle soup to die for. Oh, my God, it was just so delicious, right? I cut it with a little bit of potato, a bit of onion, a bit of oil. I put some garlic in there. I put some nutmeg. I put some oregano in there, and I just did it very, very slowly. And then when I did it, I put it through a sieve, which is a secret, restaurants won't tell you, but they sieve it, so it takes out all the gunk, right? And, man, the taste was just unbelievable, and it's packed full of nutrients. And people are walking by, where am I going to get my food? There's a whole supermarket down my street. It's called Nature.
It's called Nature. I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, listen, people can find you on LinkedIn, can't they? And your website is andrewpriestley.com.
Yeah.
And got the money
if you want to do that activity, I'll do it. I'm more than happy to come back and do it as a special one-off, Yeah.
Thank you. That would be amazing. I'll get a tribe together, because that would be, I think maybe like in a week or so when people calm down a bit.
Yeah.
I think there'll be like a bit of a lull. So I think that would be a really good time to give people a real boost. So yeah, awesome. Thank you for your time today. Catch up again soon, and wishing you well. Okay, take care. Bye.